The silent sanctuary. The morning sun filtered through the stained glass of the convent, casting colorful patterns on the stone floor. Sister Agnes had always found solace in these moments of dawn, the stillness before the day began. The convent of St. Mary's was nestled in the heart of the countryside, surrounded by fields of wildflowers and the whispers of the wind. For Agnes, this was a sanctuary, a place of prayer, reflection, and community. Agnes had been a nun for over 20 years, dedicating her life to the service of others. Her days were filled with prayers, tending to the garden, and teaching local children about faith and morality. Yet, beneath her calm exterior lay a complex past she had buried deep within. One crisp autumn day, a letter arrived, bearing the seal of the convent. It was from the Mother Superior, announcing the arrival of a new sister, Sister Clara. Agnes felt a flutter of anxiety. Change was unsettling, and she was unsure of what this new presence would bring. Sister Clara arrived with the energy of a summer storm, bright-eyed and enthusiastic. She was a stark contrast to the more traditional and reserved Agnes. Clara had grown up in a bustling city, and her modern views often clashed with the convent's age-old customs. "Why do we have to follow the same routines?" Clara asked one morning during breakfast. "Shouldn't we be adapting to the world outside?" Agnes smiled gently, aware of the tension this conversation could ignite. "Tradition offers us stability, dear Clara. It connects us to our past." As the days turned into weeks, Clara's curiosity about the convent deepened. She explored every nook and cranny, finally stumbling upon a neglected part of the garden, a wild patch hidden behind thick hedges. Clara felt an inexplicable pull toward this place. One afternoon, Clara approached Agnes, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Sister Agnes, come with me. I found something incredible." Reluctantly, Agnes followed her to the hidden garden. It was a tangle of weeds and wildflowers, but there was beauty in its chaos. Clara immediately started to clear the area, her hands digging into the earth with enthusiasm. "This garden needs love," she declared. "Let's bring it back to life." Agnes hesitated, but felt a stirring within her. The garden became their secret project, a space where they could escape the strictures of convent life. With each meeting in the garden, they shared stories of their lives, revealing vulnerabilities they had hidden for too long. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Agnes found herself sharing her past with Clara. "I had a family once," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But after the accident, I chose this life to escape the pain." Clara listened intently, her heart aching for her companion. "You don't have to escape your past, sister. Embrace it. It's part of who you are." In return, Clara opened up about her struggles. She had joined the convent, seeking refuge from a tumultuous life, filled with loss and disappointment. Their confessions brought them closer, and the hidden garden became a sacred space where they could confront their fears. As the weeks went by, Agnes noticed changes in the convent. The community was struggling financially. Donations had dwindled, and maintenance of the convent had suffered. The Mother Superior announced that if things didn't improve, they might have to consider selling the property. A developer approached the convent with plans to transform the land into luxury homes. The sisters were torn. Some wanted to hold on to tradition, while others believed adaptation was necessary for survival. Agnes felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. "We cannot let them take this place from us," she said during a meeting. "This convent is not just a building. It's our home." With Clara's support, Agnes proposed a series of fundraisers to generate interest and revenue. They organized bake sales, prayer meetings, and community outreach events. Clara's vibrant ideas attracted the attention of the local community, and people began to rally around the convent. However, not everyone agreed with their approach. Some sisters resisted change, clinging to tradition and fearing the consequences of Clara's modern methods. Tension simmered beneath the surface, threatening to fracture their community. One stormy night, Agnes found herself questioning everything. She stood alone in the garden, the wind howling around her. "What have I done?" she whispered to the darkness. "Am I betraying my vows?" Clara found her there, tears streaming down Agnes's face. "Sister, what's wrong?" she asked, concerned. "I feel lost, Clara. I've devoted my life to this place, and now it's all slipping away." Clara took her hands, grounding her. "You are not alone. We can fight for this place together. Remember the garden? It thrived because we nurtured it." Their shared moment of vulnerability sparked a new resolve in Agnes. They would not give up without a fight. The day of the community fundraiser arrived. The sisters worked tirelessly to prepare, transforming the convent into a welcoming space. Clara's infectious energy drew in crowds, and soon the once quiet convent was filled with laughter and joy. But the developer didn't back down. He arrived at the event, armed with promises of wealth and comfort. "You could have so much more than this old building," he argued, gesturing around. "Imagine modern homes, a thriving neighborhood." Agnes stepped forward, her heart pounding. "This place is not just a building. It's a sanctuary. It holds our memories, our prayers, and our lives. You cannot put a price on that." The room fell silent. Tension thick in the air. Clara joined Agnes, her voice strong. "Together, we can create a community that thrives on love and faith. We won't let you take that away." In that moment, the community rallied behind them, voices rising in unison. The developer, realizing he had underestimated the sisters' bond, retreated. With the success of the fundraiser, the convent's future seemed a little brighter. The community support revitalized the sisters' spirits, and they began to envision a future that honored both tradition and progress. Agnes discovered a newfound purpose, blending her traditional beliefs with Clara's fresh perspectives. The hidden garden became a symbol of their journey, a place of growth, healing, and connection. Sister Clara decided to stay longer than originally planned, finding a sense of belonging she had long sought. Together, they transformed the convent into a community center, inviting people from all walks of life to share in their sanctuary. Years later, as Agnes sat in the garden she had once neglected, she marveled at the transformation around her. The convent thrived, filled with laughter and life. Children played, families gathered, and the spirit of community enveloped them all. Reflecting on her journey, Agnes realized that embracing change had not betrayed her faith but strengthened it. She had learned that the heart of a sanctuary lies not just in its walls, but in the love and unity of those who inhabit it. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of gold, Sister Agnes smiled, knowing that both she and Sister Clara had found their true calling, together. This narrative can be expanded or adjusted further if you have specific themes or details in mind. Let me know. The Nun Movie story. The Nun 2 picks up several years after the events of the first film, The Nun, which introduced audiences to the terrifying demon Valak. Set in 1956 France, the sequel revisits Sister Irene, who has been deeply affected by her previous encounters with the demonic force. Haunted by her experiences, she now serves at a convent but struggles to find peace. The story begins with a series of unsettling events at a boarding school in France. A student experiences strange occurrences, including visions of a nun that lead to chaos among the students. As fear spreads, it becomes clear that Valak is once again at work, seeking to unleash its malevolence. The tension builds when reports of mysterious deaths and demonic manifestations start circulating, prompting the church to take action. Sister Irene, portrayed by Thaisa Farmiga, is summoned back into action when she learns about the disturbances at the school. Her journey is not just a physical one. It's also a spiritual quest for redemption and understanding of her own faith. She has been grappling with the trauma from her last encounter with Valak, and this new mission forces her to confront her fears. Irene is joined by a priest, Father Daniel, who is determined to help her. Together, they travel to the boarding school, where they begin their investigation. The school's atmosphere is thick with dread, and the staff is visibly shaken by the recent events. They interview students and faculty, uncovering tales of haunting and strange happenings that connect back to Valak. As they dig deeper, Irene and Father Daniel discover that Valak is not merely a ghost, but a manifestation of pure evil, intent on corrupting and claiming souls. The presence of the demon grows stronger as they unravel the mystery, revealing that it has been feeding on fear and despair within the school. The film introduces new characters, including a courageous young student, Sophie, who becomes an essential ally to Irene and Father Daniel. Sophie's resilience and belief in the goodness of people contrast sharply with the darkness they face, providing a glimmer of hope amid the terror. As Irene and Father Daniel gather evidence and prepare for a confrontation, Valak becomes increasingly aggressive. The atmosphere in the school deteriorates, leading to terrifying visions and physical manifestations of the demon. The tension escalates to a climax during a pivotal scene where Irene and Daniel confront Valak in the chapel, where the demonic force reveals its true power. The battle is both physical and spiritual, as Irene must not only face the demon, but also her own doubts and fears. The struggle for faith becomes a central theme, as she grapples with her beliefs in the face of overwhelming evil. Throughout the film, themes of faith, sacrifice, and the nature of good versus evil are explored. Sister Irene's journey is one of personal redemption. She must overcome her past traumas to confront the darkness that threatens innocent lives. The film emphasizes the importance of belief and community in battling evil, showcasing how even in the darkest times, hope and love can prevail. The Nun 2 concludes with a dramatic and intense showdown. Sister Irene emerges stronger, having not only confronted Valak, but also reconciled her own fears and doubts. The final scenes hint at the enduring presence of evil, suggesting that the fight against such darkness is never truly over. As the credits roll, viewers are left with a chilling reminder of Valak's power and the ongoing battle between faith and fear. In summary, The Nun 2 blends horror with deeper themes of faith, resilience, and the struggle against malevolence, making it a compelling addition to the Conjuring universe. The film balances terrifying sequences with emotional depth, leaving audiences both frightened and thoughtful about the nature of good and evil. Nun 3: The Dark Awakening. In the eerie confines of the Abbey of St. Carta, whispers of darkness lingered in the air. The once holy place, known for its sacred rituals, had become a shadow of its former self. Following the events of the previous haunting, a new threat emerged, demanding the attention of Sister Irene, now a seasoned warrior against the forces of evil. Irene had returned to the abbey after receiving a chilling letter detailing strange occurrences. Monks reported ghostly figures roaming the corridors at night, and a malevolent force had been seen in the woods surrounding the abbey. With the nuns increasingly terrified, Irene knew she had to confront whatever was haunting them. Upon her arrival, she found the once vibrant grounds shrouded in darkness. The nuns were restless, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. Sister Victoria, the head of the convent, welcomed her but was clearly shaken. "Sister Irene, thank God you're here. We thought we could manage, but it's worse than we feared." As night fell, the atmosphere grew more oppressive. Sister Irene gathered the remaining nuns in the chapel, their candles flickering like dying embers. She listened intently as they recounted their experiences, unsettling visions, disembodied whispers, and an overwhelming feeling of dread. The haunting seemed to focus on one particular nun, Sister Margaret, who had recently returned from a pilgrimage. Her spirit seemed to flicker between fear and something darker. Determined to uncover the source of the evil, Sister Irene and Sister Victoria ventured into the woods the following day. The trees loomed ominously, twisted and gnarled, as if hiding secrets long forgotten. As they pressed deeper, a chilling wind whipped through the branches, carrying with it the faint sound of chanting. The two nuns exchanged worried glances. They stumbled upon an old, abandoned church, its walls crumbling and covered in vines. Inside, they found remnants of a dark ritual. Sacrifices, candles burned to stubs, and remnants of what looked like ancient symbols etched into the floor. The air thickened with a sense of dread. "This is where it began," Irene whispered, piecing together the history of the area. The site had been a center for dark worship centuries ago, long before the abbey was founded. An ancient evil had been awakened once more, and it was feeding off the fear of the nuns. Returning to the abbey, they found Sister Margaret standing in the chapel, her eyes glazed over, chanting in a language long forgotten. The other nuns backed away in horror. Irene rushed to her side, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Margaret, it's me. Fight it." For a moment, Margaret seemed to snap back to reality. "Sister Irene, it's too strong. I can't hold it back." Her voice warped, echoing with a sinister undertone. Irene felt a surge of power within her, a gift from her previous battles. She began to chant prayers, calling upon the strength of her faith. Light emanated from her hands, casting shadows away. The other nuns joined in, their voices rising together, creating a powerful barrier against the encroaching darkness. But the evil within Margaret resisted. With a guttural scream, she collapsed, writhing on the floor. The shadows danced wildly, seeking to pull her deeper into their embrace. Irene held firm, calling on the spirits of the abbey's past protectors to assist her. As the air crackled with energy, the entity within Margaret spoke, mocking Irene's efforts. "You think you can stop me? I have fed on fear and despair for centuries. You are but a flicker of light against an endless void. Then let me be that flicker," Irene shouted, her voice steady. "We will not succumb to your darkness." With one final, desperate incantation, the room erupted in blinding light. The entity shrieked, a sound that reverberated through the walls as it began to unravel. Margaret convulsed, her face contorting in agony and terror. "Irene!" she gasped, her voice breaking through the chaos. "Help me!" Summoning every ounce of faith, Irene reached out to her, channeling warmth and love into the struggling nun. "You are stronger than this darkness, Margaret. Remember your vows, your faith. Fight!" In that moment, the light intensified, washing over them all. Margaret's eyes flickered between the abyss and reality. With a final cry, she broke free from the shadows that clung to her, her body collapsing into Irene's arms. The oppressive darkness retreated, dissipating into the air like mist under the sun. Exhausted, Irene cradled Margaret, who was gasping for breath but now free from the malevolent influence. The remaining nuns rushed to their side, tears of relief streaming down their faces. The energy in the chapel shifted, a sense of peace returning as dawn broke outside, illuminating the once darkened space. In the days that followed, Sister Irene stayed at the abbey to help heal the lingering scars of the traumatic event. The nuns united in their faith, rebuilding their strength and reaffirming their commitment to their sacred vows. Though the memory of the dark entity lingered, they were determined to not let fear define them. As Sister Irene prepared to leave, she turned to Sister Victoria, who stood by the chapel door. "What if it comes back?" Victoria asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. Irene smiled softly. "Then we will face it together. Light will always prevail over darkness, as long as we have faith." With renewed purpose, she left the abbey, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, knowing that together they could withstand any darkness that threatened to rise again.